This website right here took me 1 year to create, and it's not actually the website, but it's just one specific functionality. And in this video, I want to walk through what I specifically done. It's been a while since I even touched this project, but it's really cool to see that this specific functionality is now live and it's serving the company very well. And I'm sure they generated a lot of cash in this under the sun world. So let's quickly walk through what I've did. So essentially, it's a directory on a website, of course, built in Webflow. And you'll notice you can filter the directory, which is really just CMS items, with, let's say, builders, with architects. So we have a combined filter right here. And again, this is using FinSuite filter and sort. We can also sort by search right here. So you can even just search a specific company and it will show up or not show up if you did a typo. You can go ahead and click what badges that they have. So each of this specific directory is a company, and the company is specifically in the construction industry, for example. So you can say, I only want people to help me out with design, and you can go ahead and see all of them. You also notice with the directory, there are so many variables. For example, we had to sort the directory from the most badges to the least badges. And how do you even do this? You can't do it in native Webflow. I don't think you can. So again, a lot of custom code was used. I'm going to go ahead and explain it. But again, you can combine the searches, which is fantastic. And of course, you can also search the specific state. So again, this is only in Australia. But for example, if you're looking for someone from New South Wales who has a badge, so they completed a course with a certain certification, design, and I want to specifically focus on, let's say, passive solar. There you go. There's only one specific company who's doing that. And you can also toggle between design service, so third party or in-house, and it's all there. Another thing you'll notice is that there is a dedicated login functionality, which made it so much harder. So if we go ahead and hit member login right here, I can go ahead and just log in with my test account right here. And if I log in, there's a whole dashboard, guys. Crazy stuff. I think it was crazy. At the time, it was crazy. I think still right now, this is crazy. In fact, I used this specific learning experience to build my Webflow course as well, just a side tangent. But essentially, this is a login functionality using Memberstack. And you can see right here, we have member profile. And again, there's so much you can do with Memberstack. Very powerful app. You can see my email. We have a unique ID right here. So it's almost like when you buy something from Walmart or Target or whatever, you get a SKU number or a receipt number. Like this is unique. So it's saying like, I have a subscription. So this is a yearly subscription that allows you to be listed on the website in a nutshell that you have to pay for. So then we have payment processes as well. And you can see this is the dashboard. So in here, you can see, you can view the directory, which I just showed you. You can edit the profile. So because you purchase something, you get a dashboard access and you get all these other access like earning your badges, downloading, some resources and some membership affiliate perks and discounts because you're a member. But you'll notice you can go ahead and edit your profile by hitting this button right here. And then once you do that, you can fill in the information to edit that directory. This is very complicated already. And this, again, all built in Webflow, of course, using third-party apps. But during that time, when I first got this client 1 year ago, and even to this day, this is very complicated. And again, I was very lucky that I got the opportunity to do this. So I praise God. And at the end of the day, I've already worked with this company before, Sustainer Builders Alliance. So the only reason I got hired is because one of the board members essentially knew me already, and he kind of pitched me to their board members. So I didn't have to do much. I've already explained this in my business/freelance course, so feel free to check it out in my link/bio. But I pretty much explained that sometimes it's not even what you know, but who you know, because of social proof. People work with people who they like, trust, and have expertise. I pretty much was exalted because of that. Obviously, praise God. So yeah, so right here, you can go ahead and update your profile in the dashboard, and you can only access the dashboard because of you have to pay for a membership essentially. So that's pretty much it. It looks super easy to do, I guess. It's almost, I wouldn't say it's like this, but to me, when I was doing it, it's almost building, it's exaggeration, but it's almost building like a Facebook. Obviously, Facebook is way, way, way more complicated, but it's like we're introducing payments, we're introducing logins, and we're introducing like editing stuff. Like for example, on Facebook, when you post a page or a group, you can edit that specific page/group or something, you know what I mean? And you can join memberships and stuff. So this was very, very tricky. Again, this took me 1 year. Of course, there was a lot of MIA between the periods, and I had a lot of issues on linking everything. So initially, it was so easy. Like I pitched them an MVP, like saying stuff like, I can't do stuff automatic, right? Just, they submit a Webflow form, and then you go ahead and receive the Webflow form, and then someone from the admin team will manually add this to the Webflow CMS. Like that's pretty easy to do, you know? But this is all automatic. I somehow got it working, obviously, praise God, through Zapier. And essentially, once they fill in that information, they automatically gets pushed live to Webflow. Like the change is automatically instant. And these are all CMS items. So essentially, this has the ability for the user to update Webflow CMS items based on themselves. It sounds crazy, all right? It gets very technical, guys. Stay in touch. But that's the general premise. Obviously, everything's mobile responsive as well. But let's quickly kick it off with the tech stack. All right, guys, here's the tech stack. And again, I've written this on the 15th of November, 2024. And at the time of recording this video, it's 28th of November. So it's literally been over 1 year. But I was trying to explain to the directors or the company that hired me what's involved, because at the end of the day, they really didn't understand. And like I said earlier, I was just very, very blessed to get this. And I'll just be very honest. I think they knew this, obviously. The person who hired me knew this, but I was pretty much paid to learn, essentially, which is the gold standard, to be honest. So if anyone is just like learning some skill, like let's say Webflow, but you're working for an agency and you're getting paid like per hour, like learning, and they trust you, like that's winning to me, you know what I mean? So side tangent, but you can see right here, this is every tech stack that is used to make what I just showed you. So firstly, Webflow, obviously. Wow, guys, wow. So Webflow, they have a business plan for some reason. I think it was because business plan allows you for more CMS items, and it allows you to upload, like the upload functionality, which they needed for a separate page. So that's fine. They already had that. Then we move into Memberstack, which is very good. So this is mainly for the login functionality, but also for the payment processing, which they're using Stripe, which is free. So that's how much it costs, 29 USD a month. And that's that. Then we have something called tiny.cloud, which again, we'll go in great detail, guys. But essentially, you notice in the directory, or maybe you wouldn't notice. Actually, I didn't show you, so let's quickly go back. If you click into a specific member's profile, let's say positive footprints, you can see it says on this page, and you can go ahead and click the hyperlinks, and it scrolls you down to that section. But you'll notice, for example, when it says about us, this is a rich text element in Webflow. And if you don't know what that is, I've already made a tutorial in the past. Rich text isn't unique to Webflow. It's literally every website has the ability for rich text. So literally, the user has to add rich text and keep that styling. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, for example, this is all dot points. But what if someone didn't put a dot point and they just put like paragraph text? How would that work? There's so many variables, you know? You see my hands? And then we have completed projects right here. So the user can add 2 completed projects optionally. And you can see in completed projects, we have an image upload as well as another rich text right here. So in this case, they just put some dot points. And then with rich text, you can hyperlink text to, you know, go to a different website. They did that as well right here. And how does this work? Guys, I'm telling you, this is so complicated. Like, maybe because this is complicated. This was very outside my comfort zone, all right? Let's just say that. Obviously, if you're a back-end developer watching this, you're probably laughing at my ass. But, you know, it's very rare to be a designer and a front-end and a back-end and, you know, someone who manages stuff. So, haha, not jokes. No, but please teach me back-end developers. But let's go ahead and go back to the tech stack. Again, Stripe. So Stripe was in Memberstack. So you would have to pay for this specific directory. It's like a subscription, like a yearly subscription, like Netflix, except yearly. And you'll notice Stripe takes a percentage. So for example, if you charge your client like $1,000 a year for this membership thing, Stripe's going to take 4%, for example, right? We're going to factor that in. And obviously, you got to factor in tax and stuff, which they're a business, so they know that. But I also have a business course. Then we have Zapier, which costs money in order to have more than a 2-step Zape, which we'll explain later. But that is key right here. So Zapier, in a nutshell, is how we make all of these different tech stack talk to each other, essentially. So, you know, yeah, which I'll show you in great detail. Then we have Thinkific. So they had this thing where once you pay for a membership, you get access to do courses and you earn badges like I showed you. So someone had to put in the questions and answers, which they did. So amazing. And once you finish a quiz in this specific platform, Thinkific, so think about like a multiple choice quiz with 100 questions, and you have to get, let's say, for example, 80% pass rate. Then you earn a badge in Webflow, all automatic. Like initially, I was like, no. This is way too complicated. Please just, you know, check it every day and you know, verify yourself. But what happens if like 100 people sign up in one day? How the hell are you supposed to verify 100 people? So a lot of stuff to think about, guys. This is almost like building a app, it feels like. Then we also have MailChimp, which they've already paid for, I believe. And obviously, this is for EDM campaigns. So once a user signs up obviously add them to some sort of email campaign. Lastly, we have Gmail right here. So guys, when we have like a login dashboard functionality, what happens when you purchase that subscription? You ideally get an email saying, hey, thank you for purchasing, here's the next step. Where does that email get sent to? No one thinks about this unless you're a backend developer. But in this case, we're using Gmail because Gmail is 100% free and you can send unlimited emails in Gmail using Zapier. Yes, there's a way to send it in Zapier, but that's limited to 10 emails. So look, there's so much research, guys. There's so much research. Anyways, that's the tech stack. Let's go ahead and look at the user flow. Okay, as you can see right now, again, I made this over 1 year ago and some stuff slightly changed and a bit more streamlined, but let's go ahead and just take a look at it. This is the general process. Once you log into the website, there's a specific page where you can go ahead and sign up to become via Memberstack, and you have to pay to become a member. So we're using Memberstack right here. They'll enter in their first name, last name, email address, company name, and their password. And once you're secure to process payment, guys, oh my God, this could be a 2-hour video because all this trauma is coming to me. The thing with Memberstack, right? And if anyone's watching from Memberstack, you already know this and very technical, but technically you can create an account for free without paying in Memberstack, but you just won't be added to the paid tier plan. So then you have abandoned cart issues. And then what happens when you sign up and then the person abandoned carts for whatever reason? How would they sign up again? Can they use the exact same email address? What is the user experience like for that? Guys, just so much variables. But anyways, and this is not even, I can't even imagine Facebook, you know what I mean? Or like any like Google, for example. Imagine how many variables there are. But guys, sorry, side tangent. But here, for example, you pay $100 a year. It's not $100, but let's just say $100 a year. You go ahead and put in your details, proceed to secure payment. You then open a really nice, in my opinion, checkout page, which you cannot customize that much. You can customize it to a bit or konti lang. Like, for example, you can change your brand color and add a logo, but it's pretty much exact same layout. And this is done through Stripe. Again, all integrated for free as part of Memberstack. And then once they pay the $100, you put in your credit card detail right here, hit subscribe, and then you essentially become a member. And what happens there? There's two sides, right? There's an admin side and there's also a user side. So on the admin side, they get added to Memberstack right here and they get tagged as a paid member. Like I said before, it is possible to put in all your information in this step right here, and then you open this pop-up to put your card and you just, for whatever reason, just abandon it. This actually happened to me multiple times in my Webflow course. Then once they abandon it, you would still be added to Memberstack, except you won't have the paid tag plan, which you can kind of toggle on and off based in Webflow, which I'll get to. But that's that. Then we're going to use the good old Zapier to add them to a MailChimp list, essentially. So that is that. That's what's happening. Then let's look at to the right-hand side. You'll notice once the user has purchased the membership, how does the email get sent out? I think Memberstack has a default email that they can send, which is fantastic, except one of the downside, at least at the time, I don't know if they fixed it, is that problem where I came across where like if they signed up but didn't pay with their credit card, they still get a welcome email, which is kind of weird, you know what I mean? So, I had to think of ways to overcome this. Of course, the client doesn't know any of this stuff, so I had to inform them. So again, Zapier through Gmail, I think that was a better way of doing it, I believe. Or actually, sorry, towards the end, they actually made it into MailChimp. Because we added the user to MailChimp, MailChimp has a flow where they can actually send the auto email. So I think that's what happened in the end. But of course, we didn't know that, in hindsight or whatever. Then right here, it says success, like thank you name. So it's pulling dynamic content, walk as a member, for example. And then it's saying two things. One, go to your dashboard, or secondarily, get listed on the directory, which I showed you earlier. So on the right-hand side, straight away, you can fill in the stuff. Like we don't want to wait. See, this is now goes into like user experience design. Obviously, I didn't get paid $1 million to make the best UI, UX, 100% all great. Because at the end of the day, from my understanding, Sustainable Builders Alliance is like a group of people, like a network, and everyone kind of already knows each other. So you can get away with, like, for example, a crappy user experience. I'm not saying this is crappy, at least I hope it's not. But I'm saying, for example, if you're going to start a new app from scratch and nobody knows who you are and nobody trusts you, of course you want to have a really good, user experience. But here, for example, where they get people to sign up as a membership, for example, I'm assuming they know the people already. They already work with the company. They already trust the company. It's just a matter of fact of just going in and filling it in. You don't need to really sell. It's just a platform for them to do all this stuff automatic, if that makes sense. Not a side tangent, guys. It's been a long day. Anyways, So you can go ahead and fill in your company information. You'll notice there's two different tabs, which again, we'll get to, but filling in their email address, their license number, uploading a logo. And initially I had like a banner image, like a Facebook, banner image or a YouTube channel art. Crazy, right? And then this goes into Zapier and feeds into Webflow. This was the most technical part. Man, I think I have a time lapse of me doing this, which I was just frustrated. And then this goes added into a CMS collection called directories, which I kind of showed you, you know what I mean? And there's different items, right? This is one thing. This is just one thing. The tricky part was allowing the user to update, to log into their Webflow account in the backend with Memberstack and update their profile. That was mind-blowing. Like I didn't know how to do that, you know what I mean? So here you can see, because it's added to the Webflow directory automatic, this through Zapier will push it live automatic right here. Then we'll go ahead and go to the next step, which is this one right here. The user can update by logging in and going to the dashboard and updating their profile. Obviously, the client wanted crazy stuff, like, for example, be able to see what they previously typed up, in the field, and they can just, change it, which maybe is possible, but you see how much variables there are? Like, so, anyways, the client was great. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was very lucky with this project. Again, I praise God. And, the client knew that I was like, I can only do MVP, but I'll try my best to do this. And somehow, I pulled it off by God's grace. But yeah, there's a lot you can do to improve this. I know, guys, I know. But, can you see how complicated this is? This then gets fed to Zapier, so when you update the profile, which will update the CMS again, and how's this possible? We'll get there, guys, don't worry. Here is where the updated content will then show live, instant, voila, wait, voila means nothing, but like you update, click the button, refresh the page, wow, you know what I mean? It's like editing the CMS directory in Webflow, but in a Webflow form interface. All right, guys, this blew my mind. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I have to sell this video. Okay, this blew my mind. It actually did, to be honest, at the time. And again, this took 1 year. This took 1 year, guys. Okay, so then they have a platform called Thinkific, like I said, where you can do different quizzes, and depending if you pass or fail, if you do pass, this will get updated to the Webflow CMS directory once again. But how do we know what CMS directory to update? You know what I mean? So, for example, I used the exact same email address that they signed up with and in Thinkific. Someone has to check this through Zapier, which I'll show you. But this makes the user experience lackluster. So, for example, you got to explain to the client or the user, which they will, because I mentioned, this is like a membership thing. Again, not the best user experience. But, for example, when they sign up to Thinkific, they should use the exact same email they signed up as a member. But what happens if they don't want to do that? That's another problem in itself, which I thankfully didn't have to go through. But again, that's how it's updated. Then the course badges get updated. So you notice there's badges, which I kind of showed you at the start of the video. And that's the general premise. Guys, I think it got way more technical than this. I think looking back, because now it's completed, it's like, okay. It's like, okay, la. But let's go ahead and walk through Webflow. Okay, guys, I'm on the Webflow site. As always, I'll try to pin my navigator on the left-hand side. You can immediately see in the nav bar, there are a bunch of links. So you can't even see it because it's like, it's overflowing, as we call. But let me just quickly full screen it. You'll notice there is About Us, the roadmap, sponsors, resources, then that directory button right here. Then there's a button called Become a Member, Dashboard, and Member Login. So straight away right here, Dashboard will not appear unless you're logged in, right? Obviously. So there is a condition right here straight away. If I just go into this button right here and hit settings, you can see right here, there's a custom attribute that says data ms-content equals members, which means this will only show if you're logged in and you're a paid member, or you're not even paid actually. You're just a member, if I remember correct. And then you'll notice if I hit the members login button right here, this is the exact same attribute, except it has an exclamation mark in front of members, which means if you're not logged in, this will show. So there was some conditional visibility, and Memberstack makes it pretty cool. But again, I think it's my first time actually using Memberstack, if I remember correct. Maybe second time, but I had to do a lot of research, you know what I mean? So that's that. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the pages. So let's go ahead and go into perhaps the sign up page. So you can see this is the sign up page. On this specific text, this is the price right here. If you look at this text right here, it says become a member and be part of a better future. And then we just have a bunch of tick points on the left. But on the right-hand side, this is actually a native Webflow form right here. It's just called sign up form. And if we scroll down, you'll notice I've added a custom attribute right here, data ms price add. And this is pulling in that Memberstack paid plan, right? The paid plan. And then in each of these fields right here, email address, you're gonna make sure that it's correctly tagged. Like this is email, type email. You notice in some of the attributes, it actually pulls in or it adds in data MS member email. So that's how Memberstack knows. So when you put in your email address like derek.suwan@gmail.com, and because we have this tagged right here as data MS member, Memberstack will save that essentially as a database, as a source of truth. And that's the same thing as first name, last name, company name, and obviously password is pretty cool because you can use a data attribute password field. And obviously I added a confirm password just in case they, mistyped their first password. These two match. And then we just have two checkboxes, agreeing with terms and conditions, etc. Once you hit proceed to secure payment, this will open up that pop-up modal. And this is all done natively in Memberstack. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So you can see, and I'm on the live site. If I hit become a member right here, I can go ahead and just put in a random email address. Let's just say at gmail.com, first name, hello, last name, hello, test, company, test only, and then password, whatever you want. And then you got to confirm the password right here. It's a red box if it's not matching, but if it's matching, it's a green box. And I'll just agree. And this is just for data if they have a certain account. Now, if I hit proceed to payment right here, this will automatically add me to Memberstack. So yes, the client will actually see this, and I'm doing this just for the sake of the video. But you can see it opens up a pop-up right here, and then you can go ahead and add your card details, and that's pretty much it. And you can see it's kind of branded right here. But once that's done, it would automatically redirect you to the thank you page, which is this one right here. And then in the thank you page, you can see it says payment successful. Thank you for joining name. So this specific text name right here has a data MS attribute on the right hand side of first name. So we're pulling in that name that they put in the previous form here. It sounds crazy, but it's actually pretty cool once you, it's actually pretty crazy. Like if you're a first time Webflow person, you'd be like, whoa, what the flip? But this is pretty cool. Anyways, so right here, this has two different forms right here. We have in a tab, we have company information, then we have completed projects, and then completed projects has two sub tabs in that tab. So again, project 1 and project 2, which I kind of already showed you. Let's go ahead and take a look at company information. We're gonna go ahead and get another email address because the person who signed up to this member might use their personal email address, right? And then the directory, they might wanna list a very specific support email address. So this is a different email address, company contact, website URL. I remember having troubles with this website URL because website URL, what if they type in like company.com.au? What if they type in www.company.com.au? Or what if they type in https://www.company.com.au, right? This is such a small thing, but this mattered because at the end of the day, it needs to be formatted in a certain way for Zapier to understand. So of course we look at the Zapes, but I remember having issues with this. Then with the specific file image upload, wow, I don't remember because it's been a long time, but this looks like it's using the default Webflow file upload. And the reason why they can do this is because they have a business plan. So that's that. Then we have company description. So this is actually a message field right here. Message text area field in native Webflow form. However, if we scroll down, sorry, not scroll down. However, if we look at the class, tiny MCE underscore whatever text dash area, this specific class is pulling in tiny MCE, which is what is making the rich text element field. So I'll show you right now. So I've just logged into my dashboard. If I go ahead and edit my profile right here, you can see this is tiny MCE. It says built with tiny MCE. This is fantastic because this links well with the Webflow rich text editor. So you don't just put plain text, you know what I mean? You can actually put text that will feed into a rich text element and reflect the directory. So for example, I can type in heading 1, highlight this text, and I can go ahead and hit format, and I can change bold, I can put italics, and I can also highlight it, put hyperlinks right here, and I can also put dot points right here. Very, very versatile. I'm very sure you can also insert an image or a link, horizontal line. Like what the flip is that? Like, is that a div line? Like, I don't even know. So there's a lot you can do with this, and I'm pretty sure, maybe this is security vulnerability, but I'm sure tiny MCE is G, and they recently updated to tiny MCE 8. So that's that. Let's go back into Webflow. That's what this specific field is. It allows that rich text element. Here is a bunch of checkboxes right here, which is a true or false statement. And another thing is, when I say you can select multiple, but this is mandatory, how do we make this mandatory? How do we make checkboxes mandatory in the sense that you must tick one out of this group? And again, I'm pretty sure I used custom code if I remember correct. So that's something I had to overcome. You'll notice specialities right here is not mandatory right here, so you don't have to tick it. And then design services, service area right here. And again, I remember having issues with the URL, which I mentioned earlier, like the www dot or https dot dot, or not even putting www dot. So that's that. Once you submit it, of course, we have a success state. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. If I just go ahead and click into the specific form, we can go ahead and hit success. And it looks like company info added, go back to dashboard. So I think a lot of people skip this step, but there is that user experience. And of course, we have the completed projects, which is similar premise. We have a text field, an image field, and that tiny MCE right here. So that's that. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when you submit this. So when you submit this, so you'll be taken to a dashboard, which is this, and it says, your status is active. You simply will not be allowed to enter this specific page unless you're a paid member. Doesn't even matter if you signed up and you're a member in the backend. You have to be a paid member. And how that's done is pretty easy. It's just a redirect. If you're not a paid member, you're not allowed to get in through Memberstack. And you'll notice it says member since, so it shows you what the joining date is. And like I showed you, it gives you an ID, which I'm pretty sure I pulled in from the automatically generated Webflow CMS ID. And you can also hit change your password, which allows you to change your password. So just having a login functionality, guys, we need a reset password, and then, enter your password, verify your password through email, making sure it's correct, and then entering your password once again to verify, right? Automatic, So look, this whole functionality is pretty straightforward in Memberstack, but a lot to think about. We have update payments right here. So thankfully, Memberstack makes this very easy. So if you hit this, it opens up a modal similar to that Stripe modal. And this pretty much takes you very nice, user-friendly into the back end of Stripe. It automatically knows that you're logged in, and you can go ahead and update your card, etc. And you can go back to the site by hitting this button right here, return to Sustainable Builders Alliance. And I'm pretty sure that uses a JavaScript to take you back exactly one page, which I made a tutorial on. Here you'll see that you can go ahead and view your directory. So if you hit this button, I'm opening a new tab. You'll notice that your listing will be here. Again, the listing is sorted based on how many badges you've completed. So we haven't even gotten to the badge place. Wow. So most likely you'll be at the very bottom, a bottom feeder, until you do some badges. So that's how it works. And eventually I'm pretty sure they're gonna want pagination, because right now there's like 70 items, or 73 was it? Let's go to the top, 73 items. But what happens when there's like 200 items? Are you just gonna load them all on one page? That'll be very slow, So pagination, these are the things you need to think about. All right, so if we go back, and also you gotta think about scalability. This isn't very scalable, you know what I mean? Like, what if they want to make it into an app? What if they want to expand this, add more software, this? Webflow is not really built for that, you know what I mean? Even if you have Memberstack, you can only scale it so much. You probably have to rebuild it from scratch using a custom thing like, Laravel or whatever the heck, or React or whatever. So they knew that. So this is more like an MVP, like, improving the concept, and you can always, pivot as you go. So it's really good to do stuff in stages. So right here, you notice you can go ahead and download some logos right here, which takes you to a gated page, which means you can only access this page if you're a paid member and you're logged in. And we also have a download resource, very similar premise, and a membership perks, which is very similar premise as well. Again, this is built into the backend in Webflow as a CMS item, as a page, so the user or the client can easily just add more of these if they wish. So that's that. You'll notice with the badge, let's just say I've listed my thing now and I want to earn the badges to rank higher in the search results. I made them create a video explaining how to do this, because that's good, right? I told you it's very hard to have good user experience and everything, you know what I mean? So this is good. They made a video saying, hey, now you join, do some badges. So in order to do this, you hit this button that goes to the platform, which is Thinkific, and then you'll go ahead and you'll sign in. So right now I'm already signed in, but here you can go ahead and register to these courses, which obviously is for free. And once you complete it, it will give you a badge in the backend, which I'll show you shortly. So that's the dashboard. It's finally loaded in the backend dashboard. Sorry, this video is a bit random and all over the place, but I'm just going with the flow. Let's take a look at a bit of other pages. So we looked at the password reset. We have update directory, which is pretty much the exact same form that I showed you earlier when you first sign up, but it's in a different page. It's in a dedicated page where you can update your directory, and it's slightly different. And let me go ahead and explain why. So if I go back to my dashboard and I hit edit profile right here, you can see you can fill in certain information, and it's saying, please you don't need to fill in everything. So for example, if I want to update my phone number, I can just change my phone number right here. I don't have to fill in everything once again. I know the user experience doesn't really show it, but this is pretty tricky to do. So that's that. And then you'll notice in more info, you can fill in this, and social media, you can fill in this, right? Again, not the best user experience, but you know, everything works. That's what's important. And I like to see you guys try to do it. Wow, that's pride. But if you're a backend developer, please spare me. Do not do it. Do not prove me wrong. Okay, let's go into the different pages. So we also have a page lock. So this is very, very standard. If you go into a specific URL slug and you're not logged in as a paid member, it's gonna say here, members only main. You can't come into the cool club. So you can either log in if you're already a member, or sign up. Or if for whatever reason, guys, like I said, because you can sign up without paying technically, you can hit this button to log out, just in case you're logged in, because there is a login functionality. You'll notice once I logged in, it says dashboard right here. If I hit my dashboard and I hit log out, I'm now logged out, right? And then I can go ahead and log back in by hitting this button here. So that's that. Let's take a look at other pages. Let's see. Resources, processing. Oh, processing. Oh, cool. So I'm pretty sure I made this really cool page with a very cool Lottie animation. Really cool. So like small stuff like this. I don't know why I did this, but I'm sure there's a reason. Oh, I know what the reason was. It's because I'm pretty sure the reason was when, for example, if you fill in a form, you gotta wait like at least 1 to 5 seconds, like buffer time before it, you know, everything syncs up properly. So that's why I made them redirect to this page right here that says processing. I'm pretty sure I put a custom script that only when everything's loaded does it take you to the next page. So small stuff like this. You would usually see this in like airlines, where if you buy something, it's saying like, please wait, we're loading something. Wow, can you imagine an airline website? I think I kind of alluded to this in my previous video, right? Like, just look at what I'm doing now, but look at like an airline website where there's multi-currency, there's login functionality, you gotta link your passport, different time zone, different, and then you gotta coordinate with the flight. Wow. Don't even get me started, guys. Okay. All right, so there's that. Sorry for the side tangent. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the actual directories template right here, which is pretty straightforward. So this, again, is pulling in the name, the license number, the image right here. You'll notice the image is actually pulling in just the URL, so which I'll show you. And it's pulling the company name right here as the alt text. And then it's pulling all these information. And this is just using conditional visibility. So for example, there's actually a badge that is position absolute on top of this if you do get the badge. And it's simply just a toggle switch. You can see right here in the conditions, it's just saying if the toggle switch is on, show that it's on. And again, it's all linked together. And again, with the social media, there's 4 of them, which is using conditional visibility as well. The website right here is pulling the URL, and there's about us, specialities, qualifications, and completed projects. Of course, if you didn't upload a completed project, we should say no completed projects added at this time. Please check back soon, not just like an empty page. We can also put a conditional visibility where we just don't show it at all, you know, voila. So let's go ahead and look at the CMS right here. We can go ahead and go into directories right here. And let's just take a look at one of them. Perhaps we'll just do my one. That way no one gets doxxed. I'm not even here, guys. I'm pretty sure my name was like master or something. No, my name was, you know what? I have a toggle state that I have called dev only. So I can go ahead and just toggle that. Where is it? Here? Wow, so many. Okay, sorry. Let me just take a couple of them so you can see it better. All right, right here. Wait, right here. Master CMS, do not delete. So let's go ahead and walk through all the CMS fields, shall we? So again, we have the company name, which gets pulled from the form and Memberstack. We have the slug, which is automatically generated. We have the account email address. So this is the source of truth. This is the email address that you first sign up with. Then we have the logo image URL, which is when you upload a file using the Webflow upload form functionality, it actually spits it out in a URL. It hosts the image in Webflow. So let's go ahead and just pull that up. You'll notice this is webflow.com/files/ and then the number. And then that's it. So obviously this is just a dummy image, LOL. And this directory obviously has a toggle that when switched on, it won't show on the live site. Then I try to do some sort of like admin override where in case, this got very tricky, you know, because what happens if you update, you know what, I didn't want, you know, I'll just say it in high level. Like I wanted the ability where the user can update their logo, which again is not very common, firstly, because who the hell, you know, updates logos a lot. In fact, I have a video coming soon that will explain why it's not the best to upload logos or update new logos, specifically because it's very expensive. Could you imagine like Apple, the company Apple, if they switch their logo, they'll have to update everything. So side tangent. Here we have the company short description, company description, license number, rich text. So you notice this is rich text pulling from the tiny MCE, specialities, company contact email, phone number, website, Facebook link, all this stuff. then you notice these specific toggles are for the badges, which is linked to Thinkific, which I'll show you shortly. Then you can see project 1 is Chungus Production 1.1, followed by supporting image, and then etc. So looking at this is pretty straightforward, to be honest. You'll notice there's two very, very important fields. One is item ID. So this is automatically generated by Webflow. So if I actually scroll down, you'll notice this is the item ID right here. Whenever you create a new CMS collection, Webflow automatically generates a unique ID. So that's, I'm just pulling the exact same information. And the reason why we need this and why it's so important is that we can use Zapier to make sure that everything is linking to this specific ID. So the problem with Zapier and everything talking to each other, for example, Thinkific and MailChimp and Webflow, how do we know it's the exact same line item in the CMS or in the table, is because of this. So that's that. We have membership ID as well. So again, dev only. Here you can toggle different states between, you know, what state you're in, and then, you know, what your speciality is. And that's pretty much it. So, you know, looking at this, it's pretty straightforward, but just making it all link was really, really difficult. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now in Zapier. Or should we take a look at the custom code? You know what? Let's take a look at Zapier. So right now, this is the Zapier. Of course, they're a paid account. You'll notice there's a lot of Zapes. Not everything is about the specific functionality, but most. So it starts off with, let me find it. It starts off with step 1 right here. So if I just click into it, of course, I'm not going to show everything because it might breach confidentiality. But essentially, when a Memberstack subscription is added, that'll create the CMS live item. That will go ahead and update the member, and then I'll go ahead and update the live item. So this extra step was needed. I don't remember why, but I think this was added because, again, the problem is like someone could log in and not pay. So this is just making sure that they're paid. Otherwise, do not add them. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then add them to the MailChimp. So that's step 1. Let's go ahead and go back to step 2. So I clearly labeled these Zapes, which is fantastic. I'll just quickly open them in a new tab. So we have step 2 right here, which is when that main form submission is filled, find that CMS item and update that information. So that's that. Step 3 is, again, for other stuff, like I think it was the project 1. Yeah, you can see, wow, it is project 1. I labeled it right here. And then the other one, step 4, is project 2. That's the first form that you can or cannot fill, right? When you purchase the account. But when you want to update your profile, there's another Zape for that. So we have update form right here. So we can go ahead and open these in new tabs right here. Starting off with this. When there's a new form submission in that update page, update the live item. And it's pretty much the exact same thing for different tabs, which I kind of showed you earlier. So this was a pain in the ass because everything had to be synced. And there had to be one source of truth, which I didn't realize. So that's why I created my own account. And you got to imagine when you're testing this out, you can use the Stripe, testing mode, which is 46424242 as your credit card information. But obviously you want to test it out on the live site, and the client had to test it out. You can just imagine doing one thing wrong can lead to a catastrophe. So this is why it took like 1 year. And I remember this is back and forth for like 3 months of bug fixing and stuff. You'll notice here is the badges. So they're all the exact same, but I'll just show you the first one. So it's saying when the Thinkific course is completed, let's find this member in Memberstack because that's the source of truth. So it has to be the exact same email address, like I said. And then once we find it, we can update that directory to switch on that toggle essentially. And again, it's easy on the surface, but like what ID do we pull? Like what's the single source of truth? Anyways, that's that. That's pretty much it. Wow, you know what? Now that I do this video, it doesn't sound that crazy, but it was crazy, guys. There's a lot of custom code. Let's just quickly take a look at, for example, the sign up page right here. Like if we look at the custom code, wow, there's only one. So it's saying this, I don't even know what it's saying. But anyways, look at the custom code here. This is text area right here. And this is password valid. Wow, I swear there was much more custom code than this, guys. There was so much. Anyways, I'm probably gonna end the video here because I've been talking for like 45 minutes. But feel free to check out the site. In fact, you probably can't check it out because you have to pay for it. But check it out anyways. It's the sba.com.au. I have nothing but great things to say about this specific company and the fact that they allowed me to do this. So, this is the person that hired me, Jeremy Spencer. Really like the guy. You can tell he's super passionate because he cared. That's the great thing. He cared. You can imagine when someone doesn't care, let's just say they're just, a investor and they just want to see the numbers, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't go into Thinkific and build all the courses. This guy literally had to build all the courses. He took a risk in me. So if I ever meet Jeremy, I would like to thank him. If you ever watch this, Jeremy, which I don't think you will, thank you so much for hiring me. This is a very fun project. It's great meeting the team. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I just yapped a lot. I had absolutely no preparation. You can check out my previous video, which I did a breakdown in greater detail for Unleash Love, which is a one-page landing page that took me 16 weeks. And when I say stuff like 16 weeks, 1 year, it's not exaggeration. It's literally, that's how long it took. So thank you so much. I also do a lot of free Webflow tutorials, which you can check out here. I also have 2 paid courses. One is on Webflow. The other one is freelance and business. So definitely check them out in the links in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.